Hello again, anyone and everyone. Hang on, let me just get out there. There we go. Let's turn that down a bit. I've gotten way too used to that song, just a little bit. All right. Well, I hope everyone's had a good week. I'd say that was a pretty good week of streaming so far. Ah, man, cut it a bit close. This whole week was just a lot busier than I thought it would be. Ooh, even with extra on like today's, I usually play like. Alright, so I usually play Magic the Gathering on Sundays, just to kind of like be interactive with people, you know? I try. In the real world, or or in the way I can. I had some good games, but man, did that last one go long. Oh, God. But anyway, onto the game. Well, onto the stream. Quill, if you would. Give us... Oh, wait, hang on, I gotta show you. Yep. My fault. It wasn't Quill that was hiding, it was always just me. I'm sorry, Quill. Let's see. No, that ain't it. That ain't it. Where'd you go? Oh, no, well, you're there. Quill, stop being a bastard. Come out. Go there. Today, a larger day. Chapter. What was it last time? Did we do chapter? I think I did chapter 3 twice because we did like the same thing. I'll probably keep on that. So today would be then chapter 4. I'm gonna get up to some large numbers eventually on these. I'm not sure if this is the greatest idea, but hey, we'll go for it. I might need to switch over from numbers to just chapter titles, you know? Oh, man. Let's see. What do we want to call it? A title is important. This is like the final stream of the week. 1 week done. Yay. And if we can do 1 week, we can do them all, you know? I just have to find the actual time to write. Oh, boy. Yeah, spoiler warning, I've done no progress on that. But, hey, I gave myself a little extra time anyway this month, so it all works out. Let's see. Let's call it a week in review. Huh. Uh-oh. Bookmarks on it a bit. I need to move that. Hang on. We'll back it off. Yeah, you're gonna need to go it smaller. You did the classic mistake of starting out too big. That's barely even an E. Try again. Week. In. Review. Anime, and we'll do the fancy ampersand for the and celebrations. Oop. There we go. I'd say it's a pretty appropriate title. Because we're not just going over the anime of the week, we're also having a little bit of celebration. I got my pizza here and all that. Went out and got it. God, pizza's so expensive now, especially the actual good kind. It's so unfortunate. Spent like over 30 bucks just for a large pizza, man. I did order extra toppings, so kind of on me. I also got like garlic bread to go with it, but it's fucking worth it. I love a good pizza. All right, so let's get right into it. Don't want to take too long. Now, let's, this isn't the best spot. Quill's already writing here, So we'll just, hop on in. How about that? I'll take you into my world. Haha. There we go. Whew. A little comfy space, I think. And here we can talk about some of the anime. Let me actually just, get the seasonal anime list. All All right, it's a long fucking list, so I'll post them like one by one. How about that? And first up off the block, the first one that I see is going to be... Now, I've never done this before, so let me see if I can actually copy this in here without too much trouble. It would have to go in... Yeah, here. Uh-oh. Can I not just copy it in? Oh. Copy? Nope. How do streamers do this so easily? That's what I want to know. How do they just, like, get it in? Just take pictures and just get it in here so easily? Let's see. Add? Let's try image. Okay. How about net? Where did you go? Nope. Don't want you in there. Let's try this. Properties? Maybe? Oh, this is how I browse and how to get it. How do people just, like, drag images in? Do I have to, like, save every image? That's annoying. I thought I could just, like, copy and then toss it in. That would have been real easy. Options. Really? I just... That is unfortunate. Alright, well, we'll try it the other way. I'll have to save this image. I'll have to save every single one. And I'll probably have to make a folder for this. Let's call it internal use. Actually, in-stream use, I should say. You gotta have proper folder names. I try and be organized, although everything's kind of under one master folder in the documents. So, it's probably not good for the health of the computer in the long term, but Alright. Let's see. Stream pictures, in-stream use. Here we go. There we are. Alright. The first one we're going to talk about today is going to be Dandadan. Now, the latest episode was... Actually, can you guys see, like, the red outline on this? Let me just... Hey, whoop. No, okay, good. You can't see, like, the red outline, thankfully. Wow, that's a lot of delay on YouTube's end. Huh, weird. Alright. I don't think I set it to have a delay. And I gotta be really careful I don't move anything other than this image. Good to know. Anyway, I'm just pulling this from my anime list. Now, the recent episode had, like, the... Oh, yeah. Now I remember. The recent episode had, like, the controversial bit, right? It was the part that... Well, I say controversial. It was... The manga had the scene that people posted, and one guy got absolutely harassed for, like, showing this panel on Twitter, like, doxed, harassed, everything. It was awful. It's the scene where... Yeah, this is gonna be spoilers. This is... I guess I... Should I be saying, like, this is spoiler talk? Huh. Oh, well. Anyway, I guess it's kind of implied. I'm talking about anime of the week and what happened in them. Oh, well. I'm not going to go into, like, future manga stuff. It's just what aired. So. Yeah. Guy got harassed. It was the manga scene, or it was the scene where they teleport back to the real world from the, like, the alien, like, separate space. Don't know how that works. Apparently the aliens are all about psychic powers. Kind of weird. And they got teleported out and they were lying almost naked on each other. Okarun was naked, and the other gal what is her name? Hang on, I'm gonna look this up. Ayase Momo, right. She was almost naked. She had the, bra, underwear on and all that, but still. The fact that someone got doxxed and harassed over that was absolutely ridiculous, and funnily enough, nice enough, I guess, no one's made as big of a deal over, like, that anime, when the anime adapted that scene. I don't know what people caught attention on that over that manga scene, the person who posted that. People got absolutely vicious for no goddamn reason. So yeah, let's see. Anything else I want to talk about in that episode? It had pretty good animation. It had Okarun going speed, it had a lot of... It had the aliens. The aliens I don't quite get. Like, the spirits are more... I guess self-explanatory. Both spirits so far have had their reasons for existing, have seen more, like, understandable individuals. The aliens are just kinda... I'm gonna be honest, I feel kind of like shitposts right now. I'm sure that will change. The Dan has been highly recommended, and people have, like, non-stop praised it, so... I can't imagine that, like, going any worse, or them not addressing that at some point. I've heard it even becomes, like, a tournament show at some point? No, I don't get that. We'll get there. I've liked it so far, but... The aliens have seemed more like a shitpost in comparison to, like, the ghosts. It's kind of weird that they have psychic powers. Like, I guess that makes sense. When you hear stories about aliens, you'll hear plenty of them, actually, no, I guess not plenty, but... There is a certain percentage of stories of aliens that talk about how when you see them, they basically affect your mind so that you're in a more childlike state where you can either barely remember stuff. It's almost like hypnosis, but deeper than that. Bit weird, but I guess I could count as psychic powers, kind of. Although they don't really show that in the show. What they show is this. They've just shown two types of psychic powers. One where they basically increase gravity type of power. I guess a 3, because then another power they show is being able to hold back transformation while doing the gravity thing. And then the third is the ability to just make people horny. You know. Kind of a weird 3 to go with, but alright. Actually, why did they care about making them horny at all? When they can just hold them down, they really don't care about human consent? Huh. Yeah, that seemed kind of weird, in retrospect. Didn't seem really necessary, especially since it didn't seem all that effective. Like, that was before she even, like, got her powers, so... Maybe the aliens are just freaks. Yeah. I mean, they seem to understand business and, like, hiring people, so why not? Yeah. And they keep talking about wanting bananas. Apparently they have, like... Honestly, they haven't even really shown their technology. I guess they showed the spaceships. But despite being aliens, they haven't really shown off that amazing of technology. They've relied pretty heavily on psychic powers to actually, like, hold down people. Like, if they had used, like, technology to hold down people or whatever, they would have actually stood a much better chance without accidentally unlocking her powers. Actually, I think she was held down in, like, strapped down like a chair in, like, that first episode. Huh. But yeah, aliens are still kind of a weird spot. It feels like more of the heart of the show is centered around the ghosts at this point. Which is fine, you know. Can't go wrong with the whole, like, dramatic or sad or just understandable motivations for these ghosts. Silky's backstory was done excellently. It's not the most... It's not like breaking the mold or anything. Having, you know, the ghosts have, like, a sad backstory involving the child and how they died trying to save them or whatever. And how they live like that. And they kind of got themselves into that life in order to support the kid. Yeah. Probably heard that a couple times before, but, you know, it was adapted incredibly well, I will say. Just the direction for it. And as for this latest episode wasn't really memorable. It didn't really address, like, the drama between them enough. Like, I kind of did, because Okarun was very forceful, but it didn't actually get to the meat of it. I'm sure it'll get addressed next episode. This one was a more action-focused. Oh, yeah, and then we saw... Oh, what was her name? Aira. She wouldn't let me forget her name. And she had, like, the silky powers, so... I wonder if she's just gonna justify that as her being the main character, or if she's gonna, like, start considering herself part demon, too. I don't know. She seemed pretty... What's the word? After seeing the tragic backstory of Silky, she seemed pretty empathetic to her. I don't know. Iroh's kind of a weird one. She would, I guess, show empathy to anyone if it made herself feel better. She kind of has that main character syndrome. I'm not sure if I like her yet. She's been entertaining, but the third wheel constantly getting in the way or forcing themselves to be part of a love triangle type of thing. I could see that getting annoying. I don't know. She needs a bit more development for me to really say I like her. She's been entertaining so far, though. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, we had actually the most entertaining part of the show, or this episode, was probably the Mantis Shrimp and his punches. And how he was just, like, in contracted office work or a hire. That was pretty funny. Yeah, not much to talk about in this episode. It was good. You know, some action. Let's see, how did they solve the fight? It was... She let herself get caught. The hair went around the neck. Oh, yeah. She used her psychic powers to break the water right as he punched in order to have him break his arms. Yeah. I guess if you knew Mantis Shrimps, you would know that. I think they talked about it earlier. I can't remember if they actually specified if that would happen to the Mantis Shrimps or if they just hinted at it. But, yeah, I'd say that's a satisfying conclusion. And she broke enough water that Okarun could come in with, like, full thrust and come in. The story kind of has to basically work around Okarun because technically Turbo Baba was set up to be this super powerful spirit, and now he has her full suite of powers. So technically, if he's able to do, like, the full thrust? I don't want to say thrust because dude was naked in the episode. And on top of her, I don't want to say anything that could take it naughty. But full power, I forget the phrase. Full throttle, that was it. Okay. Full throttle. It kind of has to work around that because his full throttle should technically at this point be one of the strongest things in there. And if there is something that's stronger, then it needs to heavily justify it because Turbo Baba and her powers were set up to be pretty top tier. Anyway, I'm sure it's going to just say he's not used to it and all that yet, and he has to grow into it. And it's kind of done that a little bit, but we'll probably see that more. I wonder if it's going to introduce more things like water or other, like, weaknesses where you can't fully utilize the power, though. It's fine a couple of times, but if you do that too often, it can feel a bit cheap. And I think the story will let him shine soon enough, because it's put a focus on how he doesn't want to be saved by us, and when he wants to actually be more helpful to her. So I imagine that will change. Although, predicting this story is going to be pretty rough, the way I've heard it described. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'd say it's a pretty good episode. So we'll just... let's get rid of that and move on to the next. What? Seriously, how do other streamers do this? How do they just, like, copy or just toss in an image? It's not fair. Next one is ReZero. Let me just get this one in there. Yep, replace that. Now, I'm going to have to look this one up because I can't remember what happened in the last episode. I gotta be honest. Oh, wait. I think I do. I think I got it. It was, the end of the episode is he busts down the door to the church to crash the wedding between Emilia and Regulus. Right. What was the lead up to that, though? I should really take notes, because I do remember, like, the large strokes of this. I can't remember. Was it mainly a meeting between him and the other, like, people in his party deciding who goes where? I'm trying to think. Yeah, it feels like it was more of a setup episode. It was discussing, like, who the hooded figures are, you know, they're the resurrected people. It talked about Wilhelm's misgivings with his son and kind of going more into that background. Oh, yeah, it talked, not ReZero. Oh, man. Sorry, that pizza's just, like, coming up again. Right, and then, Subaru talked with, Krush and, like, helped her heal. Right. Yeah, it's more of a setup episode. Next episode will be pretty bombastic with, shit, what was his name? Mr. Strong Guy versus... Why is Heinkel at the top of the character list? Mr. Strong Guy. Who are you, Mr. Strong Guy? Nope. 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 Why is Tom... Reinhard. How did I forget his name? It's going to be Reinhard versus Regulus. And don't know how that matchup will go. Everything we know about Reinhard says he is OP. He will absolutely crush him. But we don't know what Regulus's authority is. And technically, their authorities seem to just overwrite that, like the will of the world, which Reinhard works on. So, we'll have to see how that goes. But Reinhard's pretty OP. Now, and then we had, oh yeah, and then the talk between Amelia and Regulus. It seemed a little dumb just to kind of provoke him when she didn't know how far, how close the way backup was. You think the smarter option would be to just kind of delay as much as possible, but I guess he's the type to see any sort of delay as a threat and to respond in kind. But overall, another good episode, I'd say. Good timing by... Oh yeah, that was a fun gag at the end where they both kick down the door, but Reinhard just knocks over Regulus with it. Oh yeah, it was weird that Regulus didn't remember that he actually invited someone. You think a detail would be like that? If he cared enough to invite someone, which is not something he would often do, you'd think he'd care enough to remember that he invited someone. Maybe that'll be brought up next episode by Subaru as kind of a gotcha that he himself had his rights trampled upon, as Regulus would say. Regulus is a good character. There's not much to speculate on on that episode, because it's mostly just setting up for action. There is the emotional story between Wilhelm and Reinhard, and how, oh yeah, it kind of revealed how the swordsman powers worked. It revealed that it's inherited in that it basically, once one person has it, the previous owner of it loses it. So that basically explained why Wilhelm blamed Reinhard for the wife's death, which was a bit odd before, so I'm glad that cleared things up a bit. So now it actually makes sense why Wilhelm blamed Reinhard, even if it's not really his fault. He didn't do anything, but he was kind of the reason why she did die. Honestly, I don't feel good about his chances, though. Wilhelm, they struggled in, when they had, 4 people versus those two, Necromance Corpus, so it's gonna be a tough fight. And then we've got the looming threat of, Subaru's, Return by Death, which hasn't activated in a long time. We don't know where that reset point is, so that could be something. And we don't know how the Dragon's Blood will interact with that either. So, yeah. There's a lot of setup for... Next episode will be big. I'll say that. Next episode should have a lot of shit going on, and there will be a lot to talk about there. But as for now, we'll move on to the next one. Let's see. And the next one on this list is... Overwrite. Blue Lock. Now, Blue Lock, the recent episode actually had animation. Oh my god! It actually showed the animation of the soccer fight between him and his brother. Let's see the names. Rin and his brother, right, Sai. That actually had good animation. You could see where the ball was moving. Oh my god! Insanity even. What do you think, Quill? What do you think? I gotta get Quill's. Let's see. Color. Quill. Let's see if I got the color. Here we go. Got it. OMG, isn't that right? Yes, it was truly insane. We finally got animation in Blue Lock. It's a shame, too, with how the season's been, because I've really enjoyed the manga. Ego's, like, talks on, like, well, ego, and, like, what drives people to succeed and all that, talking about luck and, like, just, yeah. All of his speeches have been really great. Honestly, Ego's probably my favorite character, which seems odd for what seems to be kind of like a self-insert of the author. Not entirely, but in terms of, like, things he wants to talk about. You know, you'll have those characters, like, occasionally there, where they're not like a full self-insert where it's just like, yeah, this is just the author's fantasy, but more of just like, I guess like a talking piece for the author. They just insert their own viewpoints for. And with Ego, it makes sense because he's basically what drives the story in a way. Without him, there is no Blue Lock, there is no this. Everyone's just kind of the regular characters they are. It's Ego that creates Blue Lock. It's Ego that puts them all together. It's Ego that drives them. It's Ego that drives them. Wow, what clever naming. But yeah, I don't find it a bother because what Ego has to say and the detail he goes into is actually pretty good. And obviously he gives Ego enough personality to make these talks and viewpoints entertaining enough. He's very, both demanding and critical, while also being very realistic. As for the rest of the episode, it's... Oh yeah, we're gonna get more Shido in the game. Now, oh yeah, I have to admit one thing. I am actually caught up with the manga on this. It took way too long for Season 2 to come out. And honestly, given the state of the animation, yeah, I'm happy I read the manga. But it's still good to see it animated. Like, that setup episode where they first went to the dome, and you had, like, the crowds getting all excited, and you had all that build-up, that was well animated. It was, or maybe not animated, but, like, really well directed with good art. It really built up the height really well, and then you got to the actual fucking soccer. It was, oh, God. Oh, Blue Lock, you sold so well. Why did this happen? You know, maybe... break out that copium because there's supposed to be like a double episode special feature. Like, I think in a couple of episodes, I heard that news. And if they're feeling confident enough to do that, then I don't know. That seems like it might have good animation. And this last episode did, so maybe it was like the first 8 or so episodes that they just outsourced to some shitty company and they just rush ordered the final ones to have something decent. Eh? I don't know. I choose to believe the copium. But even then, it's not even like the fact that it's still images that bothers me. You know what really bothers me? It's when they have still images, but then they add like the wavy effect to them. Whoa, wavy. Whoa, look at it. It's moving. Isn't the still image wavy, moving animation? That's more distracting than if it was just like them panning up on a still image. But otherwise, yeah. Nagi's goal, actually, I wouldn't even call it well animated, but it was definitely good enough that it was still hype and you could feel the hype at least. The animation didn't hold it back, is the best I can say about that. Oh yeah, and then in this episode you saw the parents interacting too, which is always a bit cute. Not really a focus, but it's always nice to see it paying attention to like something else besides the core focus so that everything is kept grounded at least in some way, you know? Wait. Next. Whoop. Let me see what happens if I just do this without like actually getting rid of that. File save as. Aha. There we are. Bleach. Now, once again, I have caught up with the manga on this. I mean, of course. And I will say, the adaptation has been pretty well done. The changes from the manga have been very welcome. Kubo was... If you know, the manga ending was a bit rushed, and there was a lot of unsatisfying parts to it. And it remains to be seen just how much they're able to pull out of this actual ending, like the actual final, but to bring it back home and make it more satisfying, because it kind of got really bullshit at the end. But the changes they made so far have been pretty good. The animation has been fantastic. And to go into more specifics on the episodes, the last episode they had, let's see. Oh yeah, they had a bit of that Mayuri with the Bankai, and it showed it being ripped apart, and then it cut away from that. So I guess we'll find out what happens next week, huh? Nice that they just pointed that. And then we got to see Shunsui's Bankai. And it's been a long time since I've read the manga, so basically all of this is new to me. I know like the general gist, but not like the details. But yeah, seeing his Bankai has always been pretty hype. Although it's always amazing to see just what fucking damage these people in Bleach can sustain without dying. Motherfucker got like 5 near basketball-sized holes in his body. He's just casually chatting it up. Like, Jesus, I know it like lampshaded it to try and help with that fact, but Christ alive, man. Oh, man. You should not be able to move. You should barely be able to, like... You must have lost gallons of blood at this point. But anyway, I can't remember how it goes. I doubt, like, the Stern Ritter he's facing is actually down for good because, of course, in Bleach fashion, that'd be a little too easy, you know? Just like Mayuri's guy. We'll probably also see the resolution of that fight next week. I think, if I remember, I think they're going to have to at least double team these guys in order to take them down. But also, not much to say here. It was just mainly just pointing out that fight. And Shinsui's always been such a... What? I like him as a character. I like his vibe. I like just how calm and analytical and friendly he is. Which goes very well with his Shikai, but it's always a nice contrast with his Bankai, which is basically all business. Oh yeah, and then they canonized the Zanpakuto Rebellion design for his Bankai. I'm really glad that they canonized a lot of stuff. Like, they even made Ichigo make a reference to that first Bleach movie. Oh, man. With that one gal. I can't remember her name at all, which is absolutely ironic, given, you know, her story being forgotten. But, yeah, that was a good movie. So it's nice that they've been kind of paying homage to that type of stuff. Especially the Zanpakuto, like, Rebellion arc, because that was always just a really cool arc in, like, idea. And it gave, like, a lot of neat designs to the Zanpakuto. Speaking of Zanpakutos, Ichigo's Zanpakuto has been absolutely, like, kind of ridiculous. He's had, like, 3 of them or so, right? I know that they technically hinted at it, and it technically makes sense, but it's always going to be a little bit confusing. Like, his actual Zanpakuto wasn't, or... What said he was a Zanpakuto was actually his Quincy form, and what he thought was just his Arrancar was actually also his Zanpakuto, which he originally thought was his Zanpakuto, but turned out to be, I don't know. It's like the Shinigami and the Arrancar parts fused, but the Quincy part remained separate, which they kind of said, hey, that makes sense because Quincy's and Arrancars are just totally incompatible, and I guess... I don't know, it's always been... Ichigo's backstory and all of how he's connected to everything always seems a bit bullshit. But hey, you know, you got those masterminds planning everything out for decades and hundreds of years, so, you know, whatever. That is one thing that the Bleach anime struggles with, is just making Ichigo interesting and making his connection to the story interesting. Because in this last one, what real connection does he have to Yahweh? He's just the villain. He's just the guy trying to take over the world, and Ichigo's there to stop him. Which, I mean, is fine. And they tried to pull it around by saying, oh, ho, 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 I planned all this, everything. I planned your whole life. All of the suffering you went through was because of me. But that's always a bit of a weak connection. And Urio's there to kind of help it out, but the actual final confrontation with Yahweh is, I don't know, it's kind of lacking that. Aizen was also lacking that, but Aizen at least had the whole, yeah, he was a Soul Reaper, and Ichigo had business with the Soul Reapers. And also Aizen also had the whole ha ha ha, I planned your whole life out type of thing, but at least it slightly made more sense there. It was the first time they did that, so they could get away with it more. You really only get one use of that. If you start doing the whole, oh ho ho, you thought this other guy who planned out your life had actually planned out your life. Well, I actually planned out him planning out your life. Ho ho ho. Then you start getting into the bullshit realms where people just turn their brains off and go either, yeah, okay, whatever, move on, let me see the fight, please, or yeah, no, I'm out. So yeah. Anyway, that's all for Bleach. It was mainly just an action episode focused on just one fight, so not much to say. And next up, oh, this one. I've really liked this show. This one, I guess, could be considered my guilty pleasure of the season. Yep. Shangri-La Frontier, Season 2. I am so happy this got a second season. I have a soft spot for VR full dive MMO like anime because I really like that idea, and unlike isekais, which are just like, oh, it's another world, but elements of a game, I don't know. I just like the idea of it being an actual video game in world, and it being something that people play, because it makes it kind of sci-fi-ish in the fact that this could technically be possible if we could figure out full dive bullshit without drilling in the brains. Kind of out there, but it's always just neat to think about. And because it's not actual, you don't have the same stakes, which makes things a bit tougher, because obviously no one's gonna dive for real when they're not in the game, unless you're in Sword Art, of course, which has its own fun. But yeah, Shangri-La Frontier kind of had that working against it. It had no stakes at all, but it makes it fun because it makes it almost like a slice of life where it's all just about having an adventure and having fun. Because I mean, in those like old school like adventure lighthearted stuff, there's no tension that anyone's gonna actually die, but you have fun all the same because they hype everything up and everyone seems like they're having fun. That's kind of what this anime is. Oh, I love the gag they've been doing with the intros where they just introduce Shangri-La Frontier as this big game that everyone loves, the Kami game, and they're just like, but yeah, Sanroku's not playing that one. He's just playing this other game right now, actually, Nephilim Hollow. And that's been I laughed out loud when I heard that one the first time, so I'm glad they're keeping with it. But I really like the idea of what authors think could be done with full dive. Now, they always get game mechanics wrong. Don't get me started on this. First off, the very basic, wow, the characters just reach out their hands and they can grab any weapon they want out of their inventory. That's never explained. I guess you could say, well, the nerve gear or the Amu sphere or whatever they want to fucking call it reads their mind and just gives them what they're thinking of. But I mean, that kind of goes into the realm of magic, which I don't really like. I like when it's more focused on the actual game mechanics, and the full dive MMO part is more focused. The full dive is just to justify them being fully in the game, and it doesn't go beyond that, because that way it feels at least slightly more realistic. If you go into the whole, well, it reads their mind and does whatever their minds want type of thing, then you can really easily get into the bullshit territory. I'm willing to overlook it for the inventory stuff, because having them open up the inventory and pull it specifically out every time could be a bit demanding in terms of animation, I guess, or at least very repetitive. So I'm okay with them shortcutting it. But yeah. And there's other mechanics too I've got to take issue with. Like in the first season, they made this whole big deal. Like, rather than just hand waving it away, they made this whole explanation about trading items away with ownership or without ownership, and how that was, and how that interacted with the fact that the PvP penalties, and how people who are killed with bounties on their head from as a PvP penalty are forced to sell off their items in order to recoup their bounty as soon as they die. And they went into this whole explanation of why they couldn't just trade away their items to someone else in order to get them back later, you know, in return for being killed. And how that, you know, you can trade with ownership or without ownership. But then they also mentioned the whole trade ownership or without ownership. And yet somehow they didn't, like, those two explanations don't mix. Right? Someone had traded her something without ownership, so it didn't get, like, taken away. But she can't trade an item to someone else with ownership, so it's technically not even hers anymore. it would get immediately sold. That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I get it. They don't want to go too far into game mechanics or think it out too far, because that kind of takes away from the focus of the story if they get, like, too deep into it. But they really shouldn't have talked about it at length to begin with. I mean, it's just a one scene. But otherwise, I've absolutely loved Shangri-La Frontier. The way it hypes up, the way you see, like, the characters fight. The last episode with Fiddler Crab versus Crimson Wing, I thought was pretty good. It was kind of I thought it would have more to do with, like, his tactics, but it's like the old, like, story trope of he reveals the details of how his plan came to be after it already happens. There's no way anyone could have predicted beforehand what he did, which makes for hype moments, I guess, but there was some loss in satisfaction in that you can't predict what the explanation is going to be, right? Because in this episode, he used the explanation of, well, these new Nephilim I got can actually swap out the legs to a second pair mid-combat. And I mean, you never had that information beforehand, so it's not until you heard that you realize it was an option. So, you lose some satisfaction there, but the fights are still fun. Oh, man. And I like seeing people interact with Full Dive and how that changes them. Like, especially how they, like, I guess, project themselves in game versus how their real-life personas are. And I guess that goes pairs well nicely into the next one I want to talk about. The next anime of the week I watched. Whoop. No, fuck. I messed it up. There we go. Sword Art Online Gun Gale Online 2. Haha. This one, actually, the last episode goes and shows how the girls are outside of the game. It shows how they act outside of it, how they look and all that. And I always find how Len looks outside of the game to be really cute, especially in comparison to how she is inside of the game. Inside the game, she's basically a short pipsqueak with, like, a temper to her. And gets really involved into, like, the aspect of the game. Like, she gets dirty when fighting. She gets all into it. But then outside the game, she's very mild-mannered, soft-spoken, and very much of, like, a cool character. And then Pito, in the game, looks mature, both mature, fucking deranged. And then outside the game, she's, like, this cute little girl that's just, I don't know. It's very clearly the same personalities, but when they're in the different, like, when they're in the game versus out of it, it's fun just to see that contrast. And it's also helped that the video games also change how they sound as well. A neat little detail I like. But yeah, this one starts off a new arc where they're versus the new NPCs that the anime or the video game has created. I don't know how this new arc will go. I haven't heard anything about it. But it'll probably be better than the last arc, I imagine. I'm kind of curious what they'll do with it, because just having them fight off, obviously, NPCs with new programming seems to be a bit, you know, that's not much going on there, right? So I assume there's more to it than that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that reveal. But the last arc was not so great. I mean, SJ3, I guess? Was it 3? Anyway, the Battle Royale of Gun Gale. It was kind of just a repeat of the first season, but worse, because it ends up with Len versus Pito Hui. There's kind of a rug pull with, Pito Hui wasn't actually the traitor Len was. Len was just too dumb to realize it. I don't know, that's not really satisfying. At least we got to see Miyu doing some cool fighting with her grenades. Oh, we did get one fight that I was really happy about. We got to see Clarence? Yeah, I guess Clarence. Clarence versus Mai. That fight between, like, the hunter and, like, the hunter guards with the green air versus, like, the backstabber that's very smart in how they approach things and careful. That was a fun fight with them just killing each other with a grenade and the knife. Oh, and then we also got to see the reference to Kirito. Pito, one of the cool characters, one of the most competent fighters, has to, of course, because this is the Sword Art Online like spin-off story, has to go into how, wow, Kirito, he was such a cool player. He was so badass. He was one of the only people with like a will greater than mine. I'm just like, okay, yeah. I get enough of the whole jerking off of Kirito in the main anime, please. Thank you. I mean, it is cool to see the connections and see the mentions, but I don't know, the Kirito greasing is a bit much at this point. Oh boy. But yeah, between this and Shangri-La Frontier, I have been very happy this season, actually. Shangri-La Frontier has been especially hype. I can't wait to see what they show off as like the final climax of the season for Shangri-La Frontier. I doubt it'll be another unique monster. It seems a bit too short for them to get to that point. But the final fight they had last season was absolutely incredible. So I very much look forward to it. I hope we get more seasons of it. And I hope it doesn't decrease in quality at all. Just because the balance Shangri-La Frontier has been having of not being like serious, but still having fun and hype has been actually incredible to see. It pulls it off really well, despite there being no actual tension. Like there's no like risk to it all. There's no stakes. It's still a lot of fun to watch them fight. It's still cool to see this video game world, although I wish it had more sense put into it. I wish there was a bit more logic to this game world. But I guess part of the appeal of this show is uncovering the mystery of it and like the backstory for like the actual game world itself, which is neat, but I just wish it was more internally consistent in the mechanics of the MMO itself. That's all. Gun Gale Online is pretty simplistic. It doesn't even try to be realistic in that same way. I mean, the whole like bullet lines and them having more inaccuracy tied to your heartbeat's already pretty ridiculous. So I don't even like try to consider it. It's all just basically bullshit like reasonings for why some characters are godlike, some characters are terrible. If I have to say another thing about Gun Gale Online, it's that the mooks in this show are incredibly boring. It does a terrible job handling mooks, which I know is a bit of a hard sell. It's always going to be difficult in these shows, like to sell up especially in Battle Royale shows, show up the non-characters and show them being cool. But it really does them poorly in this. They're doing tactics like anybody that's played any amount of like tactical games should be figured out are a bad idea. It's like they don't have any brains at all. So yeah, I can't really say that it's been doing a good job of handling them, but as long as the focus isn't on the mooks, then this Sword Art Online Gun Gale Online 2 alternative it's actually been fun, right? Len and Pito Hui are by far the best parts of it, so as long as it focuses on those two, then it's good. That's basically it. I wish it kind of went into the mechanics more and made it feel more like an actual game, but whatever. I got Shangri-La Frontier for that at least. And then next up, it's an old classic that I've been having a surprising amount of fun with. Ranma 1/2. Now, I was kind of worried going into the show. I was worried that the modern audience might latch onto it too much and make it kind of annoying to like have to sit through that dialogue about it. But thankfully, there hasn't been much of that. And the show has been really, really fun, actually. What was that other one? Urusei Yatsura? That was the other, like, old show that got a remake. I dropped off of it, Urusei Yatsura, because it felt too samey after, like, the first 6 or 7 episodes or so. And I just wasn't having as much fun with it to justify it. But Ranma 1/2, I've been having a lot of fun every week, actually. Like, it's gotten last for me constantly. The comedy's been, like, on point. I love how just absolutely ridiculous it gets. Like, with the two skaters, their dynamic has been great. You have the guy skater that's trying to be oh so cool, and then his partner that's just constantly punching the shit out of him and being the most annoying asshole possible. And then the cool male guy just breaks and yells at her. I mean, it's all just old tropes, but I fucking love it. And then of course, the Fukuin, like, broadcasting committee, basically commentating on everything. All of the different ways it finds to have Ranma, like, transform. It's been it's been a lot of fun. And then seeing like the slow budding like emotions develop between him and Akane have been actually really good. And specifically in the last episode, we had more of the skating and all that. We saw like we saw them develop that like romance a bit more between them. How Rama took like the huge hit for her and basically broke his goddamn body. Damn. And Akane was thankful and all that. And then we had, let's see, Ryoga. Hey, Ryoga has been like a surprising character. He's been more active than I thought he was. And Tatekawa Kuno? Yeah, Kuno has been less active. Kuno I thought would be a bigger character than he was at the start, because he was like there for like the first 3 or 4 episodes, and he's basically disappeared from there. And Ryoga's kind of felt like he took his place, oddly enough. But anyway. Ryoga fucking broke the ice rink, and it revealed that, oh yeah, we made this ice rink by freezing the very top layer of a pool. And they're like, what? That was pretty funny. And then the 2 other fucking skaters are just looking there confidently, as if they've totally expected and are totally trained, and like dealing with an ice rink that's been turned into like the icebergs. I don't know. This show has been an absolute joy just to sit through week by week. And I'm happy it's around. There has been a tiny amount of censorship, of course, like with the Chinese hat or whatever, but thankfully that's been excessively minimal, at the very least. And honestly, the quality of it's pretty good. It makes me want to go back and watch the original, too. Because the original art style, from what I've seen, pretty, it aged pretty well, I'd say. Anyway, not much to talk about there. And we'll move on to the next one. This one has been a kind of a surprising one for me. This one was the dark horse of the season in my eyes. Mao 2099. Now, last season, there was a show that was in a similar position to Mao 29 for me at the start. It was a show about the girl who was in this world where she was the only human, and she wielded this giant sword and went on an adventure to become a seeker. At the start, that show hooked me. I was like, yeah, I'm in. That looks fun. Main character is a cutie. She's a badass. She has a cool sword. I'm in. I'm in. Cool world. The cool world is focused on like a flower motif and all that. And it's just like, you got me. And then it completely fucking dropped off the cliff with its quality, and how it just got so up its own ass with its explanations and keeping everything a mystery. And the adventure turned into a slog in a city. Like, that show just... Oh, man. That show had a lot of promise in its setup, and it completely fumbled it. But this one, Mao 2099, has actually been keeping it up. I won't say it's amazing. It has a lot of problems, but it doesn't really, it doesn't bite off more than I can chew, I will say. It's very much... how should I say this? You know how there are some stories where it's very clear that the author bit off more than they can chew, where they're having trouble keeping track of everything and tying up every storyline in a satisfactory way, or writing everything where there's no plot holes or inconveniences? Mao 2099 feels like the author is barely keeping everything together while he has a neat setup, but he's keeping everything simple. He has just a few characters he's working with. He's very slow at introducing new ones. He keeps the power levels very small. Well, I shouldn't say the power level is small, but I mean, it's understandable. He's not going super ridiculous with what's possible with the magic. And he's more focused on the character interactions and the cool setting. And given how everything's been handled so far, where there's still been some issues with how convenient some things, or how convenient it's been to convince others, it's felt like it's just been as much as the author can handle in terms of writing ability, which isn't a knock on the author, because I guess it kind of is, but I mean, he does a good job. The setting has been fun. It's been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Velvet Velsalt, I think his full name is, has actually been pretty good. But I think my favorite character is probably going to be Graham, the hero that's been alive for 500 or more years, or 800, I think, technically. That's very reluctant, kind of lost his way, but is, still a hero at heart. His fight, I think, was probably the most fun. Especially since the more you build up like a Velvol, the Demon Lord, the more you realize just how ridiculous the hero was for actually beating him. But anyway, on to the specific episode. In the specific episode, we see Veltol be a streamer and reach 3 million subs right at the start. You know, no problem, like you do. And I mean, he's enough of a character, enough ego, and with enough of a help of like techno-savvy people who have lots of connections, both underground and otherwise, to build him up where it's, you know, it's believable. It's believable. And then he does like a 74-hour stream of just playing like a difficult game and all that. I thought that was pretty fun. It's the fact that they used Toa to introduce the idea of being like a Demon Lord streamer. They didn't even make Toa like record new lines for it. They just pulled up a stream of her and used that instead. It's it's probably the best use of a VTuber I've seen in an anime. A lot of them, they just have them in there as kind of like a not like a nod, maybe like an Easter egg, or to have them there for promotion. Toa in this show felt like very, like the most natural course of action to have in there. Demon Lord streamer, right? It worked out perfectly. Although you run into those questions of what do they see when they look at an anime? Since the Toa is an anime girl streaming, and they are anime people reacting to it, is that to them like just a flesh person looking at a flesh streamer? These are the kind of questions you got to ask yourself. I think in past anime they've tried to make that distinction by having them, the actual anime characters within the anime, be like super, like have a different art style or maybe more undefined in order to like show them as being more not quite as grounded. Which, I mean, I guess is a choice. It's always going to be difficult in order to, like, sell that, but, yeah. You gotta try, right? Because otherwise you get, like, the weird questions. In the last episode, it introduced, like, more of the cyberpunk aspects where people have, like, replaced more of their body with robotics. People have gone, like, full Borg and replaced nearly all of their body except the brain and spine. And then we had, like, the robo-elves. I have to, like, go back into that and look what they said, because it introduced, like, the robo-elves, and I think they're different from, like, the robo, like, Borgs. And I'm not sure how, because then you also got just the regular robots, but the elves look pretty robotic themselves, so I guess they're just elves with robotic parts? I don't know. Maybe they'll go into more of that later, or maybe I just missed that explanation. I thought they said something, but I think it was just, like, like half a sentence offhand comment that didn't really explain it. You know, it was one of those. I guess I'll just take it as they are the elves in this cyberpunk fantasy anime. Don't worry about it, basically. Don't worry about the backstory. They are the elves in this story. Oh yeah, and they went into school. I hope they don't spend too much time there. When the episode started with the character in school and Veltol introducing himself, I groaned a little bit. I don't want the anime that's been like fun and creative and it's set up to just turn into like a high school anime. I'm not opposed to high school anime, but I just wanted to do more with its setting. And going into high school feels like taking a step back. So I just hope it doesn't like spend too long there is all I want. Although seeing them all introduce themselves to the class was amusing in its own right. But not much happened in this episode beside that. Oh yeah, it had the whole meme reference with the going out to sushi. Oddly enough, that was a pretty like well-written way of how people do memes in real life, or reference trends in real life, I guess you could say. And Veltol was just like stone-faced about it because he wasn't in on the joke, so he found no amusement in it. I don't know, I thought that was funny. I don't remember anything much besides that, though. Yeah, he gets the subscribers. He learns about, like, where the demon book that contains, like, the locations of all the piers are. He goes to high school. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? He learns about, like, the relics needed to open the treasury. Yeah, that was it. That was pretty much a nothing episode altogether. But I'm sure we'll get more intrigue next week. Now, I've got to get this anime Shadow, even though I haven't watched it yet, because I will get to it at some point. It's just, I got to be in the right mind for an emotional heavy show like this. All right, I'll just put it up here for quickly. Suma Shogakushi ni Naru, or Suma Show. Yeah, the one where the wife gets reincarnated as a little girl, and they have to. It gets real emotional as they're able to say their goodbyes. I gotta be in the right mood for an emotional journey like that. All right. So, I will watch it. I will get around to getting to the story, but later. Now, another show, another remake of an old anime. This one's a bit hard to talk about. I don't really want to go into details about, you know, the author. If you don't know, I should say it. The author's gotten into some trouble for possession of, well, a kid. I shouldn't have to say it. I don't want to say it. It's honestly pretty disgusting all around. You know. Yeah. It's always sad when a creative that you enjoy the creative works of turns out to be such a piece of shit, you know? But hey, that's life. And you got to learn to separate art from the artist, otherwise you're going to have trouble enjoying anything. At least to some degree, yeah? And Rurouni Kenshin is not just like any piece of art, because it actually has a lot of historical importance itself, the anime, because it introduced, from what I've heard, it introduced like a critique of the Meiji period of Japan into more common discourse, whereas before it was even more of like a taboo to talk poorly about it, you know, in Japan, of course. Outside of Japan, no one really gave a shit, or gave a shit enough to critique Meiji period, or knew enough about it to critique the Meiji period. But yeah, so that's why this story was kind of important for that reason. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It sucks. It sucks when authors that make good stories turn out to be absolutely terrible people, you know? But life can't be perfect. Gotta move on. But, let's get back to the show. Let's focus on the art, shall we? Let's ignore the artists, focus on the art. Rurouni Kenshin. It's a classic. Like, the characters are fun. This episode, we saw Kenshin, like, actually pull out the additional shrine sword, defeat the bad guy. And it was a Sakabato, so this old swordsman actually, in his final, like, words, was actually trying to bring about peace in his own way type of thing. Or was hoping for peace. Not much going on there. It was a good resolution to that fight. Yeah? I don't really want to dwell on this show for too long, but I think that's about it. Let me just scroll down the list here of other anime. And if not, if there's nothing else, then I'll move on to the schedule for the next week. Let's see. Jesus, there's a lot more. There's always a lot more anime than you think. Thankfully, a lot of it's very ignorable because it doesn't really have much to do with me. I have heard about Trillion Game. Oh yeah, and then the Movement of the Stars, I believe it's called. I have heard good things about that. And then Mecha Ude. I tried to watch the first episode, but already in the first episode it seemed pretty tropey with hand-wave explanations for stuff, and no. The music seemed good, the animation seemed good, but the whole having like an extra piece of clothing that's equipment that talks to you, I don't know. I've never been too much of a fan of that gimmick because it always turns into like the same like dialogue. It's very rarely done in a way that's interesting to me because the equipment or a parasite or whatever very rarely has a personality that I care about. And the interactions between them and like their user always tend to be the same. Or they fall along like the same tropey lines, you know? But the characters did seem well drawn. The girl in that seemed cute. And, I mean, Sawana's doing music for it, so I'll probably check out the soundtrack at the very least at some point. But I probably won't get into that show. Let's see, anything else? Tower of God. Oh man, Tower of God. I caught up with the manga for a while on that one, and then I absolutely dropped it. Oh, bitrate, no. My health. I'm trying to keep a good bitrate. No. Please, YouTube, work with me. No, my internet. I don't know what's going on with it. Oh, it's fine now, right? I'm gonna have to talk with the internet company, aren't I? If this happens often enough. But that can be saved for later. Anyway, Tower of God, right. Tower of God, the manga. I guess, no, the manhwa. The manhwa. It's not a manga, it's a manhwa. That's a story that just got way too bloated. I just stopped caring about the characters. I stopped caring about anything. It's very great. Like, it's setting up the ultimate enemies to be absolutely ginormous, and the story reflects that. But the world made no sense. The power got bullshit at one point or another, where anyone can do anything, pretty much. And I just stopped caring, and I dropped off, and I'm glad I did. I haven't regretted it. And then the anime adaptation has also stopped caring, it feels like, because it dropped that like unique aesthetic it had in the first season, and the animation was terrible from what I saw. So, I don't know. I feel like lately, in the past couple years, anime adaptations have kind of followed the quality of the source material in terms of how much quality they're willing to give it. Like, if the quality of the source material is good, then the adaptation material, the animation will be good quality. And if it's bad, then it gets bad animation if it gets adapted. I feel like anime has been a bit more, like, not on the ball, but a bit more strict on that. Like, the Gun Gale Online, like, even anime that otherwise get good adaptations, or, I mean, that are otherwise good, their worst arcs get the worst parts of the adaptation type of thing. Like, if for an example, if they do the Oshinoko, if they do more of that, which of course they will do more seasons of that, then I absolutely expect the adaptation quality to drop off in accordance with like the source material quality. Because I read the source material, it drops off. It's not really a satisfying ending, and I imagine that the anime quality will kind of reflect that. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, this isn't obviously an ironclad rule, because Helk probably deserved more of a budget than what it got. I mean, at least the adaptation was accurate. I will say this, in the anime industry, adaptations recently have been a lot more faithful. They've been a lot more accurate to the source material, rather than going their own way to give something that they don't think would make money, like, you know, just an adaptation to cash in. Which, the adaptation quality may be worse, but as long as the accuracy is better, that's a trade I'm willing to make, I think. Because even if the adaptation, the changes they would make the story better, I just don't want them to change what the author did, unless it's obviously with the author's consent. But I just don't want to go down that slope, you know? Where they feel to give the directors the power to change stuff that they personally don't like in order to what... Because, I mean, there's no guarantee that what they would change it to would be any better either, right? That's always the rub. At least if the adaptation's accurate, you could say it gave the source material the best chance it had. Obviously, it's not ironclad because Helk got poor, quality. And then Blue Lock, despite it, having one of its most hype arcs, it got some of the worst, like, animation that I've seen in a while, so, ugh. Man. I don't know. Maybe just a studio for that just does not give a shit. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, yeah, that was it for anime. So we'll just pop. And we'll move on to the schedule. Oh, YouTube, please. Internet, please. Now, I do have my schedule for where I'll be in the stories, the world of stories for the next week. The Aether's fluxing around. But it's been relatively consistent, at least. Alright. I think I'm going to keep with the whole 8:30 p.m. trend. That gives me... Last week it was a bit rough because, you know, Thanksgiving and all, but I think for this next week, it'll actually work out well. So, Quill, if you would, get your pen ready. Let's bring it down a bit. Actually, what does that look like if you do it here? Yeah, it's a bit large. Let's bring it down a little bit. How does 20 look? Still a bit too big. 15. A little less. 13. Let's go 10. 10 should be good. There we are. All right, we'll do that. And change up the color so it's less annoying. Orange? Huh. Can't even see the orange. Weird. Oh. And you can see that. Oh, yeah, let me try different colors. You can see that. You can't see this, of course. You can see that. You can see that. You can see that. But that one, no. Huh. Might have to look into that later. Oh, fuck. Nope. Damn. Oh, fuck. I've lost it all. Oh, hell. Oh, wait, there I am. Quill, you're back. Thank God. Oh, this might have fucked things up. Whoopsie. Why did that shortcut? Oh, shortcut TZ. That's not a good idea to have zoom on that when Control Z is how I backpedal. Alright. Let me just do a quick test. Alright, yeah, that seems perfectly fine. Ooh. Is there a more pleasant color that would work? Nope, that one also gets... I don't know what's causing that. Nope. Nope. Wow, that's a lot of pieces of the color chart that have been graded out. Gonna have to look into that later. It shouldn't be that many colors out of there. There we go. We'll take that. Or how about that? No. Yeah, that'll work best. So we'll have to deal with red pen for this. Not the most ideal, but whatever. Let's see. Let's get Monday. Thank you, Quill. I should probably have an actual regular page for this and just type things out. But this has more soul, you know? Monday. Let's see. Yeah, I'll stream tomorrow. I've got... Let's see. Let me think. Do I have anything else going on tomorrow? Well, something might come up. Something almost always does, but I should be fine for this. So Monday, yes. Let's see. Saturday, I won't. Next Sunday, I will. That'll be normal. Any other days? So Monday, Sunday, yep. And let's see. You know what? Let's do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll have Friday, Saturday off because something can always come up on Friday. That's always kind of a dangerous day to schedule things on, right? Well, if that's the case, I should probably call off Sunday. But oh well, I'll let you guys. I'll keep you guys updated. So Tuesday. All right, that's a little large. Quill, bring it back. I really hope I'm spelling Tuesday right. It's hard to, I press the buttons, I press the letters on the keyboard, it comes out, and when I see it, like, for me writing it, it always feels so wrong. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When I have to write it out slowly, it feels more wrong, you know? Thursday. Alright, space this out perfectly. Good job, Quill. And Sunday. Perfect. Well, let's make those dots a bit bigger so we see them as proper colons. There we go. And there we are. Hit the ones at the bottom again. That looks better. Well, I mean, it looks soulful. Let's not go too far in calling it better. Now, this is 5 days a week. 5 days actually might be a bit much, so we'll call one of the days an iffy day. Anyway, let's figure things out. Next Sunday will be same as this. So, anime and scheduling. Anime. Talk. Good job, Quill. Your writing is as impressive as always. And what should we do for the other days? Anime Talk is going to be that day. Let's see, Monday. Oh, right. No. I thought for a second about writing, but that's once per month, and I don't want to write on stream because that's never a good stream idea from what I've seen. It's really hard to make streaming writing good. You can do it with drawing because drawing is very visual, and you can, if you're a good enough drawer, you can like talk to people as you're drawing and all that. You can make it a just chatting stream. I mean, I couldn't. I don't think. I don't have that much to talk about, but yeah. At the very least, it's a visual focus. Writing, not so much. Let's see. Oh, I should say these are all going to be at 8:30. Let's get that bit lower, Quill. Thank you. Every day. Oh, it's under the bookmark. Thank God the bookmark see-through. Now, Monday. Tomorrow. What do we want tomorrow to be? I guess we can do more single player, at least, tomorrow. Yeah. I'm freer tomorrow, so that means we can probably go for longer. So that'd be a good day for it. So, let's see. Signalist. So Signalist tomorrow. Ah, man. I don't want to just say it like that every day. Is there anything else I can do? That's always the rub, right? What other things can I do to liven things up? Well, there's karaoke, but I don't want to do that. Writing's out. What do other streamers do? Oh, man. Oh. Let's see. Well, if I don't have much, and my schedule's already tight, let me just get rid of one of these days. I'm gonna have Friday, Saturday. Probably also take Wednesday off, just to give me a bit of a break. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Let me look at my schedule again. Here it is. Yeah. I might take Tuesday off then. Hang on. That way I can work on writing and all that and give myself... And now I can work on, like, figuring out what to make streams that are a bit more interesting, you know? So let's see, Eraser. It's going to be bigger than that. Thank you, Quill. Oh, boy. Yeah, I need to look at what other streamers do to figure this out. Bring that back down to 10. And when I say 8:30 every day, I mean days that I'm streaming. But yeah, I have other stuff going on Tuesday. Well, I have for most of these. Wednesday and Thursday I will as well. So those days will be a bit more iffy, but I should be able to make time for stream. I'll just need to figure out what to do. And let's see. We'll go back to Signalis on Wednesday. Why not? And let's see. You know what I could do? I do have the anime of the week talk. I could make one day a week as in I go through an old anime I've completely finished and talk about that as well. Let's see. And schedule right there. All right, Quill, that was a terrible ampersand. Try again. Thank you. Anime and schedule on Sunday. And Thursday... Yeah, until I have something... Oh! Yeah, alright. I can talk about maybe stories in general, maybe specifically an anime I liked, and I can go about, like, the progress I made for, like, this first week on the story. I've made no progress yet, but Tuesday I can spend some time writing, and I can then talk about that. So, yeah. Let's see. Story talk. Let's call it that. Now, I know it's a bit weird to make this whole, like, determining schedule thing as part of a stream, but I'm still pretty early on in this, and I'm, figuring out what I like, so I figure having the thought process here, maybe get any comments that have like, you know, any suggestions to help out would also be good. But yeah. Oh, and then of course this doesn't rule out maybe gorillas. And I'll just put it right here. Plus possible. Good. Oh, you almost got it, Quill. Come on, keep at it. Good. There's 2 R's. Real. 2 L's. Us. Nope, almost. There you go. Now, I won't... There will always be the possibility of the gorillas. Never knock that out. But otherwise, yeah. I think this pretty much accomplishes what I think of the next upcoming week will be. Let's put in a date at the top just so that's obvious. Do I have room at the top? Technically. The week of 12/08. Right? Yeah, because, yeah. Yeah, because today's is worse. $12.08. No, actually, I should make this a 1, just make it a little less confusing. There we go. All right. And I think we have our schedule done. And with that, I think we'll call it for the stream. Well. Man. I'd say this was a pretty good stream. Let's just get out of here, right? Ooh. Well, actually, I guess we can do that later. Whoops. Didn't mean to hit that. Anyway, for anyone who shows up later and watches the VOD, anyone who supports me any way you can, even if it's just a glance, hitting the like, or just following me on Twitter, I appreciate you all very, very much. I know I'm not the most entertaining streamer, the most like the one that's breaking the most molds or anything like that. But so I guess I would make your support even more valuable and more special, right? Anyway, I appreciate you all, whoever you are, very much. Even if you are only, you know, VOD watching or something like that. VOD watching is also helpful. And I will always just act in an assumption that someone somewhere will be watching. And with that, I will try and figure out some of the scuff when I have my free time. Hopefully, now that we're outside of Thanksgiving, I can figure some of that out. We are going to Christmas, but we got a bit of time until then, so I'll try and just adjust. I'll have more time after Christmas to figure out stuff. My workload should be lighter after Christmas. And then I'll be able to figure out more stuff. I'll figure out more streams. I'll figure out more cool ideas. And I'll figure out how to actually use social media to get myself out there more. And that'll be a good time. And I'll actually be able to stream longer than like an hour and a half on average. How about that? So yeah. For whoever supports me, thank you very much. And I hope you have a good night. Bye-bye. Quill, what was that? Fucking jerk.